Sorry, guys. Are you? I'll be with you. Yeah, just real quick. Okay, we're getting ready for our final presentation of the day. We are going to be, this session is Calories Count Nutrition. And Deborah Freeman is going to be speaking today about calories and nutrition. So Deborah is a registered dietitian nutritionist and has worked at Catholic Medical Center for quote unquote many years. She joined the Manchester Dartmouth Hitchcock ALS Clinic in August of 2017. She enjoys working with this wonderful team of individuals who help serve the needs of the ALS population. Thank you, Deborah. Hello? Can you hear her? No?
No. Maybe I'm supposed to push a button. Just that a little button goes on.
Is it the other way?
Off, on.
Hello? No. Why don't you just use that?
Okay. I guess that didn't work. Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here today speaking on a subject that I believe has high value to patients with ALS, and that is on nutrition. When Amber asked me to speak many months ago, she requested that I talk specifically about calories, and she was kind enough to give me the title of my presentation, and that is Calories Count. So I hope everybody got to have a dessert, brownies or cookies. They looked pretty good. I'm saving mine for later. So my goals today are to explain the nutrient contributions to energy needs, discuss research findings related to energy needs specific to the ALS population, to review barriers to achieving adequate nutrition, and to educate on strategies on improving intake. Whoops. So, brief overview of nutrition and calories. Basically, calories give us energy, simply defined as the provided to us from macronutrients. And there's three main macronutrients that I'm sure you've all heard of: carbohydrate, proteins, and fats. Carbohydrates in nutrition science give us 4 calories per gram. Those are your starches and your sugars. Protein foods give us 4 calories per gram also. That's your meat, chicken, fish, eggs, cheese. And your fat foods are your butter, margarine, oils, and salad dressings, and they provide us with 9 calories per gram. So you can see that fat is a much more nutrient-dense calorie source. And to highlight that with real food, if I had a tablespoon of, we'll say sugar, that will give me about 50 calories. If I had a tablespoon of olive oil, that is going to give me 120 calories. So that's kind of important to know if you're trying to work on increasing your calorie intake. So how do we determine calorie needs? Nutritionists, in order to figure out how many calories a person would need, we have to rely on predictive formulas. And there are many out there, but I put the more popular ones that I would use with a patient up here. And the first one is basically taking one's weight and multiplying it by a factor. And this factor would be dependent on if your goal is to maintain weight, gain weight, or if someone has significantly lost weight. So it's usually a range of 25 to 35 calories per kilogram. And if a person, let's say, weighed 185 pounds, a male, and we would try to determine their calories, assuming that maybe they have moderate activity, we would divide their weight by 2.2 kilograms, and then we would get how many 2.2 divided, let me start over. You take their weight, divided by 2.2, and that would give you how many kilograms they weigh, And then we would multiply by 30, so this individual would need 2,500 calories a day for moderate activity. There are a couple other formulas I put up here, and if anyone is really interested in learning more about them, you can go on the internet. And these formulas are much more specific because they are gender defined. So in other words, you would take a male or female formula, you would put your age, height, weight in, and this would determine how many calories you would need. So it's really just a snapshot, it's not exact, but it gives people a rough idea of how many calories they need so that they can assess if they're getting enough. And the most ideal way to measure caloric needs is to do a testing on people called indirect calorimetry. This typically you'll find in maybe hospital clinics or weight loss clinics or maybe even some gyms. And in metabolic testing, it's a handheld device that you can breathe into, and in a matter of about 10 minutes, it will tell you how many calories you are burning at that moment, and it gives you a rough idea of how many calories you would need in a day. But unfortunately, those are not readily available for most people. I do work in a clinic where we do have one of these, so it is kind of interesting to compare predictive energy needs and contrast that with what they actually measure. So when researchers started looking at the ALS population to determine what their energy needs were, they found some surprising results. You would think that with the less activity that these people would need less calories, but the findings were that many ALS patients have hypermetabolism, and in other words, they need higher calories than we would assess using these predictive equations. So if I went back to that last slide and I had my 85-kilogram male needing 2,500 calories a day, so with ALS, they would need 2,750, likely. So we also know from the research is that many ALS individuals consume fewer calories per day than they need. Inadequate nutrition will speed up the breakdown of muscles, and inadequate energy intake with that combined weight loss can accelerate the disease progression. So the take-home message with ALS is to not lose weight. And certainly early and aggressive nutrition intervention can impact the disease progression as well as improve quality of life and increase survival. So there are many factors that impact weight loss with ALS. These are the most notable ones: the dysphagia, poor appetite, depression, loss of ability to feed oneself, the impaired energy balance, that's that hypermetabolism, as well as loss of muscle mass, muscle atrophy. So I just want to take a second to talk about some of the red flags for dysphagia. I work in a clinic, and we recently had a patient, myself and the speech therapist, we went in and spoke with the patient and asked them if they were having any swallowing problems, and they denied any issue whatsoever, but upon further questioning, they were noticing some of these things taking place with them. And the big worry with dysphagia is if you don't swallow appropriately, the food is going to go down into your lungs as opposed to going down into your stomach. And this would put you at risk for infection, pneumonia, which is not a good scene, right? So here are some of the red flags: coughing or choking with swallow, wet or gurgling sound after swallow, meaning maybe you didn't clear the food well, chewing difficulty, food or liquids escaping from the mouth, increased meal times. Sometimes if you're eating in 20 to 30 minutes, but now it's extending out to 30, 35, 40, then that could be a sign that you're having swallowing difficulties and not really appreciating it. Regurgitation, the need for smaller bites, drooling of saliva or liquids, shortness of breath with eating, or difficulty managing secretions. So going back to the importance of nutrition in ALS, the goals are to meet your energy needs, to slow the progression of muscle breakdown, to keep your immune system strong, maximize energy level, and improve quality of life. So what to eat? I'll say at this point in time that there is no specific ALS diet. There have been a lot of studies taking place, but at this point I have not seen any research that says this is what we should recommend. Rather, the goal is to consume a balanced diet as well as maintaining your weight. So the government comes out with guidelines on what is considered healthy eating, and the current guideline, the old one was, remember the old food pyramid? Well, this now is the plate. So it encourages that we get food from all the food groups. Half your plate should be fruits and vegetables. We get some grains, protein, some dairy or calcium source. And I put on the right, because I didn't have it on my plate, is that we all need to have some fat in our diet as well as to maintain adequate hydration. So all of those foods were going to provide us with the carbohydrate, proteins, and fats, as well as giving us our vitamins and minerals. So I just put this slide up. It'll be in your handouts. This is just a snapshot of what a person would need in a day in terms of all the food groups. And if people ate all the minimums on here, for most individuals, it would likely not be enough calories. It would translates into about 1,400. So how do we get people to gain weight? First off, I say if I have a person who I meet in the clinic and has lost weight, my first goal is to stop the weight loss. But ideally, I would love to get people to gain weight if they have experienced a loss. So in nutrition science, we know that 1 pound of weight is 3,500 calories. So if I look at 7 days in a week and I divide 3,500 by 7, I would aim to try to get someone to eat 500 calories a day if I want them to gain a pound a week. But that might be a little aggressive for some. So even if we could increase their daily intake by 250 calories, we could get them to gain a half a pound a week. So this is a list of simple little tricks that people could do to add to their daily intake, small volume, to increase your calories. So remember I said a tablespoon of fat is up to 120 calories. That doesn't take much volume on your plate. So the 100 calories could be from butter, margarine, mayonnaise, salad dressings. Even a single ounce of cheese can give you 100 calories. 2 tablespoons of full cream, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup that you could pour on things, half an avocado, all the oils, dried fruit, those are all 120 calories. And then anywhere from 170 to 210 calories you can get in using peanut butter, almond butter, and if you have problems with swallowing, you can put those into items in smoothies and things like that. Nuts and seeds and trail mix. Again, if you're having swallowing issues, those can be pulverized up and put into things. And using whole milk products, even Nutella, which is pretty popular. Other tips, add extra butter, cream, half and half to items. Drizzle your vegetables with extra olive oil or throw that on some pasta. Add honey, sugar, molasses, maple syrup. You can put those into hot cereals or on pancakes and waffles. Always use full-fat products as opposed to diet products. So whole milk is 150 calories in a glass. Skim milk is only 80. So again, if I'm trying to get someone to gain weight, I would aim for the full-fat products. Also, same with ice cream, that you can buy frozen yogurt, which is going to be less calories, but I would rather have someone be eating full-fat ice cream. Gravy, cheeses, Alfredo sauce, high source of calories. Be liberal with mayonnaise and salad dressings. If people are having swallowing problems, this is a win-win situation where you could take your chicken salad and throw extra mayo, or you chop it up nice and fine, and you'll be getting extra calories that way, and also making the food easier to swallow. Use juice or milk in place of water. Again, a glass of juice could be 120 calories up to 150, whereas water is obviously no calories. And that all does count towards your fluid goal. Also, another option to add calories, I'm sure most people are familiar with all the nutritional supplements on the market. There are so many to pick from. Ensure is a pretty popular brand. I just caution people if you're using Ensure to make sure you read your labels. They have a variety of products, and some start at only 160 calories, whereas others go all the way up to 355 in the same 8-ounce volume. So make sure you read the label and get the most calories in your serving. I put on here Boost. It's another competitor to the Ensure company. They also make a product called Boost Very High Calorie. I have not had the opportunity to try it. I think it is only available online. I saw that it had very good ratings though, and the reason I'm impressed with it is because one single serving in 8 ounces can give 530 calories, which is really an appreciable amount if we're trying to get someone to gain a pound a week. Having a drink like this every day could get us to that goal. Carnations to breakfast, well-known product on the market at most grocery stores. Some people, if you have a blender, you can use something like that, throw some 4 ounces of whole milk in and a whole cup of ice cream, and we're already, again, up to that 500 calories. And then even the fast food shakes, believe it or not, 330 to 610 calories. another way to boost your intake. My favorite, though, would be to have people build their own smoothie. If you have your own blender at home, the smoothie is an opportunity also to get in fruits and vegetables. If you remember the talks this morning, some of the physicians were talking about oxidation and relating ALS to a disease of oxidative stress. Well, fruits and vegetables are packed with antioxidant nutrients. So if we could use those more often in our diet, I do appreciate that they are hard to chew and swallow as people get more difficulty with the illness progressing, but putting something like this into a smoothie can really increase your nutrient yield by blending them up. So I won't read all of it, but basically it gives you all kinds of tips where you start with a liquid and add some protein powder and then add the fruits and vegetables and then maybe a fat source and maybe some little enhancers like some of the vanilla or almond extract or any spices and such. So also on Pinterest and on the web, you can find many recipes to build smoothies. But always try to get some fruits and vegetables in there because of the benefits of the antioxidants. So on this slide, I know it's pretty detailed, it might be hard to see in the back, but I took a menu on the left-hand side, just 3 meals a day, regular food, 1 dessert, and then I tried to beef it up on the right-hand side, and I went from 1,900 calories up to 3,100 calories just by making simple swap-outs. And it might be a little bit aggressive for some people, but I'll highlight some of the topics for those that might not be able to see it. So if I have oatmeal in the morning, I make it with water. Well, how about making it with whole milk and then throwing in a tablespoon of maple syrup? And having a scrambled egg with a little bit of butter, well, I'll increase my butter and I'll throw a slice of cheese on it. I go to lunch and I have a sandwich, chicken salad, but I'll add extra salad dressing or mayonnaise, and then I'll throw a slice of avocado on it. That's a good source of fat, good fat. I make some tomato soup, but this time I'll make it with whole milk instead of water. I have a glass of low-fat milk, but I'll swap that out for a glass of chocolate milk. And then for dinner, instead of using light gravy, I will use full-fat gravy on my chicken. As I mashed potato, instead of using just a little teaspoon, I'll go heavy with the butter. And when I make my broccoli, I will drizzle some olive oil over it as opposed to just a little dab of butter. And when I have my half cup of blueberries, I'll throw some whipped cream on there. And I'll switch out the low-fat milk for whole milk. And last, my ice cream for dessert goes from being seal test, a cup, to maybe a Ben & Jerry's. So all of that ends up really getting in 1,200 more calories a day. So it doesn't take much because I really didn't increase the volume here. I just made small changes to the diet.